Namaskar. We're going to address the most common standing postures you see in a class and common adjustments and common flaws in the posture itself and ways to help someone improve. The first one we're going to look at is we're going to look at Warrior 1. So I'm going to ask Young to set up Warrior 1. Yep. And that's it. Okay. Now, a couple of things. He's chosen a pretty low Warrior 1, and the back foot, I'm going to ask you to stop for a second. Now, the back foot, what we had was he had about a 90-degree angle, so his foot was out this way. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit of a turn in. The turn in is a 45-degree turn. Okay? Now, he chose the low variation. This is for someone who feels really strong and they want to really get into the posture. Great. But that back foot still has to be 45 degrees. Unless you choose to go up on the ball of the foot, which we will get into that one as well. But we're going to go over this variation of Warrior 1 where the foot is at 45 degrees. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you stop and you think about it, if your foot is turned out at 90 degrees, but your hips are going this way, so your hips are turned this way straight away, what's happening is you're putting in a fair amount of torque on the back knee. Now some people will say and make an argument to me that I could do that the rest of my life and not have any knee problems. That's true. However, there will probably be somewhere between 15 and 30% of your students who will have knee problems. And if improper alignment is allowed to go in your class, what happens then is you have chances of people wearing a knee joint out in your class. Now, if they want to do it in baseball or if they want to do it in golf, that's up to them. But if they want to do it in my class, that's not up to them. If they want to wear a joint out, let another teacher teach them. That's it. People that are into abuse, they can go to another class. That's fine with me. There will always be a teacher out there who will spank somebody and that person loves it. That's fine. Myself, I'm not going to get hurt in my class if I can help it. And that's the way I want all of you to feel. Okay. Here we go. We're going back to Warrior 1. This time he's got a 45 degree, the heel's down in this variation. He likes to do it low. He's got strong legs. So here we go. Okay. Some people would look at the high point right away. We'll start at the high point. You could start at the low point. But we come here. He was pretty good to start with. Okay. So what am I looking at? Hand-to-hand alignment. Are his shoulders okay? Do I have them locked out? Because if I do, I push too far. His back foot, he's out at 45 degrees. His heel is not exactly down flat. You know, to be honest with you, there are some students who I mess with on that and some who I don't. Usually I try to encourage them to bring the heel down flat. But this variation, I can feel and see him slightly rocking his weight back. These are little subtleties you have to pay attention to as you're walking around your students, and you're not going to have just one student to work with unless you're doing privates. Next thing, I'm looking at knee to ankle, okay, so I don't have any pronation. If the knee were out to here, I've got a problem. This is fine, he's doing good, and I can feel tension in his legs. Okay, to be honest with you, there is nothing else to adjust here. I could get carried away and go adjusting his neck, but we've already talked about not doing that, okay? So therefore, we're not going to do that. What I'm going to ask Young to do is take a break. Okay, and he's going to switch feet, but this time he's going to show this variation on the back foot, where the heel is up. Yep. Now, on this one, before we get going, let's talk for a second. On this one, the back heel is not turned out at 45 degrees anymore. It's straight up. Okay? So it's not turned out 90 degrees, certainly not. Not at 45, it's straight away. So it's actually at 0, okay? There is no angle here. What's happening is the ball of the foot is under, in alignment, the ankle and the Achilles tendon. So we stop and we take a peek at this one. It's a much different animal. Some people like this one because it can go really low. I want to caution you about one thing. This is not for everyone. If someone has pre-existing knee problems, this can be a problem, okay? The lower you go on any kind of a lunge or a warrior type posture, the more problems you can possibly have. Go ahead into this one again. Good. And using their hands to set up and so forth, that's fine. I mean, some people get all into this balance thing, and that's great. But there are some times where you've got to let your students be human too. Okay, the next thing is bring your arms up. Okay, so here we are, we're fine. Here, you can see he is working on balancing, and I have to be careful what I do. I'm drawing this back a little bit. I'm not putting any pressure on. What I was doing is trying to bring a straighter line here, but not locking, okay? So my adjustment here could be bringing a hand under the knee, not to crank it straight, but to steady him and try to bring him in alignment. Nice job. And that's fine. Good. Okay, come on back. Okay, so we had Warrior 1, and what we're going to do for the next one is we're going to look at Warrior 2, and we're going to look at some common flaws in Warrior 2 and some things that you should look out for. So Yang, I'm going to let Yang go ahead, and he's going to pretend that he's a rank beginner. He's going to throw in some kind of mistakes for us on Warrior 2. There are a number of them. It's not just the arms being parallel to the floor. So go ahead. Warrior 2, we're ready basically going heel to heel here. The back foot this time is turned out 90 degrees. Good. So right away we're looking at that back foot, and I'm going to ask you to turn it. So we're going to stop right there. Okay. The feet. This time with the body, what I'm doing is I'm starting out at the bottom. That's the way I like to start out anyway. I start at the feet and then I move up. Some people start at the top and they move down. I'm sure there's somebody who starts in the middle and they move both ways. Myself, here's what we're doing. We're going to look at his feet. Set up heel to heel and set the back foot up 90 degrees. So you want to turn the back foot this way. Good. And your heels should intersect. Okay, so they're on the same line. Okay, next, before we do anything else, let's look at the spine. The spine should be perpendicular to the floor. Okay, the hips should point this way. Okay, some people call them the eyes of the hips. The hip sockets themselves should face this way. Now, go ahead and bring your arms up. Okay, he brings his arms level. A good cue for your students is to tell them to look at the back arm sometimes. Have them turn and look at that back arm, because it's real easy to forget. I'm going to exaggerate here. Some people do this. Some people do this, okay, when they're looking this way, okay? Now, that's common stuff, so I walk over, and I'm just going to make this really bad here, and I'm going to turn it down this way. It's not that I haven't ever seen this before in a class either. What I do here is bring it up so it's parallel to the floor, both of them. Bring it in alignment right here. And now I'm going to ask you to bring your gaze point over. Possibly, if they can, depends on how much a person can turn their neck. So I go, say, 3-5 inches above. And now we're looking at the knee. Okay, so go ahead and bend in this way. Yep, we're going to stop right there. And it was the same guideline. Knee over ankle. Okay? Arms parallel to the floor. Gaze is over the forward arm. Back arm, some people like to turn it in. What we're doing here is we're bringing it back. The spine perpendicular to the floor, so the spine is straight up. A lot of people, I'm going to ask Yang to exaggerate here, but some people lean in like this. You want to make sure. And finally, one last thing. relax your shoulders. Good. So what you're doing here is so the neck is long, okay? Shoulder tension happens all day. So from here, we're going to relax. Nice job. And that takes care of 2 of our most common standing postures.